Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me this evening are Useless.
Hello, how goes it?
And I just realized I put Gabby in the wrong category, so let me quickly change that real quick before she shows up. And Mr. Adam.
How's Andy?
How's it going?
Doing grand. And yourself? And then, of course, I'm the keeper for the evening, Sanguine, which is partially why the introduction got kind of screwed up, because I'm doing like 2 or 3 things at once, quickly fixing the description.
Yeah, we were in the middle of a very heated discussion. Oh man, I was about to whip out my cane and start beating people. This was getting...
Don't make me grab my shillelagh. I have it right behind me. I have a proper blackthorn shillelagh right behind me. So before we go back into that conversation, let's do the standard pleasantries. How are you doing today, Useless?
Yeah, alive and kicking.
Always better than the alternative. And how about yourself, Adam?
Oh, I don't know there, Sanguine. I think I'm feeling pretty good. I had a good meal, and it's the start of the week, and it was great. How are you doing over there, Sanguine?
When did Adam become Mr. Bill? Oh no! As you get hit by a vehicle.
Well, I'm going to say I went on a music spamming spree today in the Discord. I did,
But yes, I had a fantastic dinner as well, Adam, because I went to my favorite Chinese place.
Nice. And
had some Szechuan dumplings, some Shanghai pork buns, a tea-smoked duck, some guobao, which is this absolutely amazing kind of sweet and sour pork, but it's not the neon orange sweet and sour. It's this very citrusy, amazing pale yellow sweet and sour from, I believe it's northern China. And then Szechuan walleye, as well as some chicken and chestnuts.
Nice.
So it was a very, very good meal. And plenty of leftovers, which I will be like a pig in shit going through for the next few days.
That's good.
Yep. So, now, shall we launch right back into the topic that we were having a bit of a
You want to share your screen, though? Does chat choose it?
Let me quickly share the screen, and this will be blindingly white because I'm not on my
dark mode
standard window for this. I'm instead in just a Chrome tab where I'm not signed in, so I don't have dark mode on the Chrome tab that I don't actually sign in on.
The website should be dark mode,
I wish that there was just a turn everything dark mode setting.
Yeah.
They really need to just build that into a browser. Everything dark mode. But the Twitter thing that Useless brought up is Julia Ioffe, whatever the fuck, this crazy bint. As I've explained numerous times, the reason the American right likes Putin is because they are ideologically aligned. Or they're in ideological alignment. They see Putin the way he sees himself, a defender of conservative white Christian values. They're on the same team. She links to a Sky News article that says J.K. Rowling cited by Vladimir Putin as he accuses the West of trying to, and then it gets cut off for the quote.
Trying to cancel Russia during the televised meeting of culture figures.
Ah, okay. Oh, yeah, it does continue. Oh, yeah. It's one of those fucking articles where it just puts the title as the first paragraph.
Yeah.
I goddamn hate that trend.
Well, Sky News, what do you expect,
Make it a title and then don't stick it in as your first fucking paragraph. Otherwise, you have people just double reading it when they're going live.
Yeah.
To the people who think Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump are crazy, but that trans people are made up, that cancel culture has gone too far, that men should be men and women should be women, congratulations, you agree with Putin. You are his ideological ally. First off, fuck you. You don't understand what the right is, apparently. Because, no, if someone is pro classic American values, and yes, they agree that silencing people is wrong because that's a violation of the spirit of the First Amendment, and they agree that men should be men and women should be women because biology,
Yeah.
that does not make them ideological allies of Putin. In fact, for the same reasons that they believe those things, they would also be ideological adversaries of Putin on the grand scale. They can agree with Putin in certain things and disagree with him in many, many others, such as Putin is functionally a dictator.
Yeah.
He is the strong man holding Russia together. A person that is right-wing because they believe in classic American values is against the idea of a dictator.
Yeah, because you don't see an Americans trying to say, get away with protest because you don't agree with them. Well, we should say to not be violent. That's about it.
Yeah, it's back when we had the Summer of Peace and Love. Where did it say that you have to be peaceful when you protest? And the ramen lad just chomping on his raw ramen.
Yeah.
It's right there. It says the right to peaceable assembly. That means peaceful protest.
Yeah.
Just chomping on the ramen. Yeah, that shit. They would be against Putin in a great many things for that. They might be in favor of certain things that Putin does. And as Jack said in chat, the reason the right defends Putin is because they see him as literally more sane than our government. And I would say that they see him as more sane than certain elements, and they still aren't really defending him so much as saying, yeah, this is rational actions that he's taking.
Yeah.
And there's a hell of a lot of difference between saying, yeah, this guy's actually fairly intelligent and he's taking rational actions, versus this guy is 100% in the right. I would allow him to marry my daughter and hold my wallet. I trust him fully. That is not what anyone's fucking saying.
Well,
In fact,
just thinking about the left, just thinking about Zelensky, the Ukraine guy.
Yeah.
Which
In
is,
fact, there's the things that I'm hoping are joking, but I'm almost positive are not, where it's people saying that they would allow Zelensky to fuck their wife, so at least one of their wives' children would have some moral backbone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's absolute insanity. You can be in favor of Ukraine and acknowledge that there's some shady shit that's gone on in Ukraine. You can be in favor of non-intervention and realize that, yeah, both sides are kind of acting in their own best interests. Ukraine doesn't want to be taken over by Russia, so they're avoiding being taken over by Russia.
Yeah.
And Russia doesn't want the threat of a NATO base being placed in Ukraine, because this is something that not many people seem to notice when it comes to Russia. When you look at most countries and you look at where their capital is, their capital's in a fairly defensible position.
Yeah.
Their capital is either kind of in the heart of their country, or it's on a coastline in waters that they control for hundreds of miles. Like Washington, D.C. Yeah, it's right on the coast. How many people think that they could make a good go at attacking Washington, D.C. without having to deal with the United States Navy?
Yeah. The traffic too.
London, again, it's coastal, but it's coastal in waters that it controls to a large degree. You have a bunch of these areas where their capitals will... The only way that their capital will be on the periphery is if that periphery is a coastline. Everywhere else, it's effectively, if they have a capital that is not on the coastline, it's somewhere towards the center of their country or the furthest away from the people that normally attack them.
Yeah.
Those are the two factors. Look at Russia on a map. Do you know where Moscow is?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Moscow is very close to its fucking border.
Oh.
And it's very close to its land borders. It's very close to... This is one of the reasons why... Have you guys both heard of the Winter War?
No.
Adam, have you heard of the Winter War?
I've heard of it, but it's just in bits and pieces because it's just kind of meshing with all the other, armies that tried to invade Russia during winter.
Well, the Winter War was actually Russia trying to invade Finland during winter.
Oh.
And the Winter War is one of... You know how World War II can really be broken up into a shit ton of other wars? So,
Yeah.
for instance, you can have like the Sino-Japanese War, which was Japan versus China. One of the wars that can be broken out of the grand scheme of World War II is the Winter War. The Winter War was between Russia and Finland. And it was the continuation of a series of conflicts that they had had. Finland had not terribly long before moved its borders rather close to Moscow. Russia was not very fond of this, or the USSR at the time was not very fond of the fact that the Finns could damn near just set up an artillery piece and lob shit into Moscow if they really wanted to. The Finns knew that they were outnumbered. The Finns knew that their position was not the best held, but they also knew that they had a decent crack if they so chose to strike at Moscow. So there was the idea that they were going to make this great defensive line. Now, this might sound very familiar. Well, a defensive line in World War II, we know how this one ends, right? Only the thing is that this defensive line was designed by and held by Finns and not the French.
Yeah.
So it was the, I want to say Messerschmitt's line or something along those lines was the name of that particular defensive line. And sure enough, as Russia and Germany started grabbing up bits of Europe with their armies, Russia decided that they were going to have a crack at Finland, push the borders back to where they were before the Finns were able to take some of Russia's land, get some breathing room for Moscow again. All good shit, right?
Yeah.
So they launched a massive invasion. They had a fair portion of their military devoted to this. The Finnish military was much smaller, was not as heavily provisioned, did not have as many artillery pieces, had nowhere near the number of tanks or anything along those lines. But they had really damn good light infantry, which normally, if you're looking at a war and you're going, okay, this side has light infantry, this side has artillery, tanks, and air support.
Yeah.
You do not bet on the side with light infantry in that fight.
Usually not, no.
But the moment that you hear that Oh yeah, by the way, these two forces, one of them is Russian, the one with all the vehicles. The other one is not Russian, and it's winter. Your bet should change sides. Because what happened is that the Russians steamed in thinking that they would be able to smash through the Finnish defenses. So they started their rolling through Finland. Heavy snows came. A bunch of Russian vehicles broke down. Stop me if this starts sounding familiar to anything that's happened, I don't know, recently. So vehicles start breaking down. They continue on their push. They get to a defended area. They make a grand sally, and they leave heaps of Russian dead behind them.
Yeah.
And they're pushed back. So, no worries. We'll go around the outside and just try to circle around the end of the line. So they go to circle around the end of the line. There's this city in that area, and they go steaming into the city, and they leave a shit ton of Russian dead, and they get pushed back. We'll send more people, and they successfully take the city. The next day, a bunch of insane lads on skis come in and leave a lot of Russian dead and push the Russians out of the city. The next day, the Russians steam back in with even more people, and they manage to take the city again, and they manage to push the Finns back, and they go to chase the Finns. The roads are all shit because they haven't been plowed out. It's been dumping down snow. Their vehicles get bogged down. They continue trying to chase, and they leave a lot of Russian dead and a bunch of broken vehicles as they get knocked back to the city.
Yeah.
This keeps on happening all up and down the line, everywhere that they attack. There's one of the most famous snipers throughout all of history is from the Winter War. So most people, when they think of insanely famous snipers, they'll think of Vasily Zaitsev, the sniper from Stalingrad.
Well, I think about this Charles guy in Marines back in Vietnam. He was a pretty decent sniper.
Yep, he's one of the top ones. So there's 4 primary snipers that get brought up. There's Vasily Zaitsev, the Russian Stalingrad sniper, who, trying to remember, there's 2 movies that I always cross the names of. I think it's Enemy at the Gates was the one that was about Stalingrad. And it's about this one sniper, because this one sniper was absolutely fucking ridiculous. He had something like 300 confirmed kills during Stalingrad, and he ended up just absolutely castrating the Nazi snipers.
Yeah.
Because the Nazis taking Stalingrad found out that there's this ridiculous sniper in Stalingrad, so they went, okay, they have this insane sniper in Stalingrad, we'll send our best sniper to take out... Oh, shit, he died. We'll send our second best sniper to... And fuck.
Yeah.
We'll send our third and fourth best snipers working in tandem, and they're dead, son of a bitch. And he just slaughtered a good chunk of the top Nazi snipers until the Nazis were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, and their snipers were pretty much never as effective after Stalingrad as they had been pre-Stalingrad, because Vasily Zaitsev just kept on fucking killing their best snipers. Then you have the one American sniper from Vietnam. That's a really good shout. He is well known. You have, of course, the American sniper from Afghanistan and Iraq. And then you have the fourth, who it takes people that are a bit more read into military history to name normally. And that is exactly what Cannibalistic Wizard said. The White Death, Samo Haya. Samo Haya is a very strange person when you talk about his military history, because he served in the Finnish military. He served his time. He was able to retire. The Winter War started. He decided, fuck it, I'll kill some Russians, and signed up for the military again. He was brought in, and he got a group attached to him, and he went off into the woods near his farm and just started absolutely slaughtering Russians. And by absolutely I mean just fucking hell, this man stacked bodies. He stacked bodies to the point where the numbers that the unit that was attached to him said he was personally claiming were so ridiculous that in the middle of a fucking war, the Finnish government went, no, there's no way. Let's send out an official count. Let's send out someone to count every single person that he kills. So they sent out an official counter. And the official counter came back and effectively said, okay, so that number might have been wrong. I think they were underselling it.
Yeah. That's always good times here.
Yeah. So just absolutely slaughtering people in this war. He eventually becomes such a thorn in the side of the Russian military trying to move through this area of wood that they shell the woods several times. He keeps surviving. So they send in larger units to hunt him down. He kills a shit ton of them, manages to escape. So they shell the woods again. He survives. They send in counter snipers. He kills a bunch of them. They send in more counter snipers and a group of troops, and they shell the woods. Eventually what happens is he is caught by a ballistic, well, not a ballistic, an explosive round, and it blows off half his face. They think he's dead for a while. He's found and is able to be brought back to a field hospital, and after a fair bit of facial reconstruction, survived and died of old age, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think you told a story before, too, so.
Yeah, absolutely fucking ridiculous sniper. So, the Winter War happened because another nation got really close to Moscow. Most countries don't like it when you get really close to their capitals.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of problem with Europe, just all these countries close together, you know.
Yep. So, Russia has had this thing of they get really touchy when a foreign power is really close to their capital. And NATO fucked up. And I will say NATO fucked up enthusiastically every time that this comes up, because there was a golden opportunity to prevent this shit decades ago.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this before the show. I'm going to ask chat, and I'll give them some time to respond. What was the thing that NATO was designed to do? Why does NATO exist? If you know the answer, put it in chat. I'll read it in a few moments. See if anyone gets the right answer, because there's the answer that people seem to think NATO was designed for, and then there's the actual thing that NATO was designed for. And the problem is that those do not line up, and the one that people seem to think NATO was designed for is so much fucking worse. It is the cause of all this shit.
Yeah.
And if the proper purpose was actually followed through, then we would not be having this issue.
Yep.
And
Campbell got it.
Yep. Cannibal
figured you
got
would.
it in one. So did I. It was to stop the communists. It was meant to be a counterbalance to the Warsaw Pact and the growth of communist powers. So NATO formed up, and what should have happened is the USSR fell. The communists were no longer in power. The very next day, what, in my opinion, should have happened is, hey, Russia, you aren't communist anymore, are you? Yet. Do you like communists? Yet. Do you want to join a group that its entire point is fuck communists? Duh. Okay, welcome aboard. That should have been what happened. It should have been an immediate attempt to reach across and say, hey, we didn't have a problem with Russia. We don't have a problem with Russians. We had a problem with the communists. We had a problem with how they were doing things and what was being done. You aren't communist anymore. We're willing to work with you. We don't have any animosity towards you. The problem is that a lot of people seem to think that the point of NATO is to prevent Russia from growing. So, since that is the idea of what NATO is around for, of course Russia would be touchy with the idea of a nation so close to the border, that is so close to its capital, being willing to have NATO bases in it. If it had been offered the chance, and if it had joined, those are two big ifs, then this would have been prevented, because it would have been going, oh yeah, that's a NATO base. We're part of NATO. But the fuck does it matter? But that's what's going on. And it pisses me off, because it's absolutely pointless bullshit. But it's absolutely pointless bullshit that, given the situation that each party was in, when you look at where they were, you're going, okay, yeah, this is the only logical reaction that this group could have. Russia has a foreign power that is currently trying to suck up to a foreign alliance that seems to be hell-bent on being a countermeasure to Russia. And it's really close to its capital. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And Ukraine is going, well, we're really fucking close to Russia. Russia are kind of assholes. And we don't want them taking over our shit. They already took over a chunk of our shit. We don't want it happening again. Hey, NATO, are you willing to help us not have our shit taken over? Both sides make sense.
Yeah.
So
Because I believe, that Ukraine does deserve its own country. I just don't think America should fight for it. That's all.
There's only one good argument for why America should get involved. And it's a good argument that it sucks that it's a good argument. The one argument is that when the USSR fell apart and the various member nations of the Warsaw Pact broke up, Ukraine had nukes. It didn't have the launch code for the nukes because all the launch codes were kept by the Kremlin, but it had nukes. Russia said, hey, you have nukes that were Soviet nukes. We have the launch codes. Return the nukes to us. Ukraine originally went, fuck you, they're our nukes. They're in our country. The Western world, the NATO powers, primarily the US and England, went in to talk the situation down, and they got Ukraine to agree to give up the nukes. They did this with a promise that if Russia were to invade Ukraine, that they would back Ukraine. That is the only argument that I think is really valid for why this is any of America's business. It's because
I didn't know that
We
part.
made a promise.
I didn't know that about the nukes. Because you don't tell you everything that they should,
Yeah, they don't tell you half the shit that you should know. That's something that should be known. That the reason why America is interested in this is because we made a promise. Now, I don't think that's the reason why the Democrats are interested.
No.
The main
They just
reason
want
is
to fight back,
because
give
they
back
don't
to Putin.
mention it. If they mentioned it, then I would go, okay, yeah, maybe they're interested. But they haven't. So, yeah, I don't think that's their driving.
No, they did us think it because he was their buddies with Trump, and they get back at Trump.
The thing is that Putin wasn't buddy-buddy with Trump.
No.
They were adversaries. But they were adversaries that understood each other. Trump understood that, yeah, Putin's intelligent. To think that Putin's an idiot is a bad move because you're underestimating your opponent now.
You should never think your opponent's an idiot,
Yep. Don't think your opponent's an idiot. Don't think your opponent's a madman unless they prove themselves to be.
Yeah.
And even then, be somewhat dubious of them claiming that they're a madman. See if there's actually madness to them or if what they do has a reason. Because there's a bunch of good reasons to act like a madman. One is, have you ever heard crazy beats big every time?
Sometimes.
It's a phrase that gets tossed around a fair bit, especially in martial arts circles.
Yeah. I mean, I heard the phrase before, but I'm not sure where it came from.
It comes from the idea that someone who is completely fucking crazy in a fight will beat someone who's just big and strong. Because the thing is that the person who's big and strong, they'll probably have a certain level that they're willing to go to. And they won't go further. So yeah, that big, strong person could grab someone's head and crush it. But the number of people that are willing to grab someone's head and crush it like a grape, relatively few.
Yeah.
Now, if someone's completely fucking crazy, yeah, absolutely, they're willing to pull out a knife and gut you. And they'll think of pulling out a knife and gutting you.
Yeah.
So, if they get in a fight, guess what happens? They pull out a knife and they gut you. Shit, they won that fight, didn't they?
That's probably why, villains like Joker and Green Goblin are pretty popular, because they're insane, You don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. It's this constant thing of it's the person who's willing to go further will ultimately win a fight. Almost 100% of the time. If one person is willing to gouge the other person's eyes out and the other person's just willing to kind of slap around the first person.
Yeah.
Yeah, the person willing to gouge out the eyes, absolutely going to win that fight. And Gabby has joined us. Hello, Gabby. How goes?
It goes.
Hello.
That's good to hear.
Sorry about the delayed joining.
No problem. We're currently I'm having a rant, and they're suffering through me having a rant about a article that Useless, or a tweet thread that Useless brought to my attention of someone saying that, well, you see, the right is for Putin because they're really ideological allies.
Wait, so I mean, just so I understand, what was it again?
The right, the American right, is pro-Putin because they're ideological allies.
But no, I mean, even watching Fox News, my family watches Fox News, and they're just taking a steaming dump on him the entire time.
Yep, and the thing is that
if anything, it's the left who take a steaming pile on Ukraine because it's like, there's Nazis in Ukraine, so
yeah,
totally warranted.
And the thing is that the people that they're pointing to as taking the side of Putin, they aren't really taking the side of Putin. They're pointing at like Trump and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And Trump, the thing that they say, oh, see, he's taking the side of Putin, is Trump said, Putin's a really intelligent man.
Yeah.
don't underestimate him.
Yeah.
Which,
So he's good
that's not taking the side of Putin.
Sorry, I'll be right back, gentlemen. Hold on.
Not a problem. But yeah, the idea that crazy beats
Whoa, we're
strength,
gentlemen?
apparently.
Awesome.
I'm a spoon, so you know.
Yeah,
At the very least, we're mental gents.
I'm a
Yeah.
gentleman. Oh, wait, that's weird sounding.
Oh,
Yeah, I just made it weird. I'm sorry.
Yep.
God damn
But
it.
yeah, it's just infuriating that they're looking at it that way. Because no, you can not think that your opponent's pure evil and still think that, yeah, they aren't good.
well, it's this either or thinking, you know.
Yeah, it's if you're against us, then you must be evil. It's not
Yeah.
that you have a difference of opinion. It's not that due to what you believe is best, you're kind of forced into a specific action. It's you disagree, you're evil.
Yeah.
And it's that same thinking that I've ranted about before, where it's people confuse what it means to be good.
Yeah.
Sorry, the thing I thought I was done with, I was not done with yet.
Not
It
a problem
happens.
at all. Shit happens. But yeah, it's as I was saying, Gabby, the two people that they're appointing as supporting Putin were Trump and Tucker Carlson, because Trump said that Putin's an intelligent man, don't underestimate him. Which
That's not
How-
really like, I mean, that's just an observation. That's not really like condoning of anything.
yeah. That's
Villains
not
can be
condoning.
smart, surprising.
Yeah. If anything, that's going, yeah, if you underestimate him, you're going to lose. Don't do that. I don't want you to lose. That is not support. And Tucker Carlson is not really supporting Putin either. He's been saying, yeah, with the global situation that we have and the setup of everything, Putin's acting in a completely rational way. It makes sense why he's doing what he's doing.
Mhm.
And it might not be right, but he believes that it's the right thing to do. There are other people that believe it's the right thing to do, just like the Ukrainians defending their country believe that it's the right thing to defend their country. We can't just act like one side's pure evil, one side's virginal as freshly fallen snow.
You mean
No.
a nuanced take? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You can't have that in current year. You can't look at both sides. The audacity.
Being nuanced is white supremacist now, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the unmitigated
I'm sure
gall.
it's on a Home Depot like job application like
Yeah.
paperwork like
Yeah, it's the unmitigated gall of someone pointing out that, yeah, both sides of a conflict can be acting rationally, and neither one is pure evil, neither one's pure good. They're fucking people.
Yep.
And we need to understand why this is happening to really be able to come up with a solution. And the thing that I ranted about before you joined in was I put a lot of the fault at the feet of NATO, because NATO had a purpose that it has forgotten, and it's assigned itself an entirely different purpose. Because the entire point of NATO was to be the counterbalance to the communist world.
Mhm.
So it was meant to be the opposition to the Warsaw Pact, to the USSR, to communist China, and various other communist groups around the world. Then the
Well-
USSR fell. Russia is no longer communist. NATO, for some reason, thinks that its job is to resist Russia. That's fucking up its entire point. What it should have done, in my opinion, is the moment that the USSR fell and the next government came in power and it wasn't a communist regime, they should have gone, hey, Russia, you aren't communist? You don't like communists? You want to join NATO?
Well, I think has to do with the left wanting everything to be communist now.
Yeah, and that's something that I would absolutely agree with. I think the reason why
I mean,
people,
if China can join like the Human Rights Commission,
God, yeah.
certainly Russia can become part of NATO.
yeah, especially since it actually wouldn't be a contradiction for Russia to become part of NATO, whereas it is a contradiction for China, and I think the fucking Saudis,
Yeah.
to become part of the Human Rights Council. What the fuck? But they could have.
I know. I'm only laughing because I prefer laughter over tears. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Hey,
Yeah.
but let's all laugh at the guy who says that they're turning the frogs gay. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Look at that. It's fucking UFOs and aliens and interdimensional demons.
The frogs were actually starting to turn gay, FYI.
Well, hold on.
well, no, they were starting to turn trans. It's slightly different.
You
Because it was-
now you're splitting hairs. You're splitting frog hairs.
It was actually causing
They grew
the.
hair,
That's a
too?
joke.
Oh, no.
I keyed.
Yep, it was causing the frogs to or not quite spontaneously, but gradually become female.
Yeah. To change genders. But
Yep.
that's part of the frogs in India to do that too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Certain
A lot of
species of
amphibians will
frogs. Yeah.
change.
I learned that in Jurassic Park.
It's kind of like.
You clever girl.
DNA.
So, do you guys want me to quickly
Nature will
ruin
find a way.
Finding Nemo for you?
Wait, you're gonna find Nemo?
Oh,
You want me to ruin Finding Nemo?
He's going to talk about the clownfish. Do it. Do
Oh
it,
yeah.
do it,
I
do
know
it,
what
do
happens
it,
with
do it.
clownfish.
So, clownfish, the way that their sex is determined is that young clownfish are effectively 100% male. And the oldest surviving clownfish, or a certain percent of the clownfish population that are the oldest, will become female. Which means that, yeah, when Nemo's father was trying to find Nemo, Nemo's father might have just become Nemo's former father, now mother, potential mate.
Yeah. Just
That's
kinda fun.
clownfish biology, people.
Well, I guess that's
Who
why
knew
we
Disney
call
was
them
trans
clownfish.
safe, you know?
Yeah, it's one of the things that really pisses me off, because I'm not sure if you guys saw this ages ago, back when the trans thing first started becoming really big in people talking about it, and people were going, well, there's an XY chromosome, so if you have XX, you're female. If you have XY, you're male. And really, it's if you have a Y, you're male. If you don't have a Y, you're female. And there were a bunch of people coming out of the woodwork saying, well, that isn't how biology works, because in this species, there's these chromosomes, and in
We're not
this
that species, though.
there's actually 4 sex chromosomes, and
Yeah.
in this species, there's this. And I'm going, yeah, but
We
Those
also
aren't
share
human.
50% of our DNA with a banana. What's your point?
yeah, it's
I know. I just love the actualities and the whataboutisms. It's my jam.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially since they don't fucking matter. That's like saying, well, you're shocked about gay sex? Did you know that flatworms penis joust and the first one to get stuck becomes the woman? Checkmate. What? How? What does that have to do with humans?
Yes, you are, Jack.
I just want to see the other science world talk about other animals and like argue the same way like other people argue about humans, and by compare them to entirely different species. Like, well, just argue about wolves and like baboons, for example, and say, well, this one does this, so gotcha.
Yeah. You think that
It doesn't happen in
orangutan...
any other regard.
I just want it to constantly be someone bringing up penis jousting. Just like, you think orangutans are entering the Stone Age just because they're making stone tools? Did you know that flatworms penis joust? Just
Yeah.
things that make absolutely no sense, because
Yeah,
that's what it
non-sequiturs.
is.
That's
Yeah.
a game I bought on Steam.
Penis
Penis
joust.
joust?
Yes, that's actually a
Yeah, I
game.
remember that one.
Yep.
Reference.
Did you end up getting the showering with your dad game as well?
I'm not that degenerate. Hush.
Okay.
It's a funny game, though.
I also didn't buy orc massage. Okay.
Sure.
It's just always
Pick it up
weird
on
in
Steam.
Niflheim, you know?
God bless
Though-
Steam and also curse it to the ground. I love it.
Though now I want there to be a spoof of orc massage that's the other type of orc. Because you guys know about orc clouds, right?
No.
Wait.
Oh, I thought you were gonna make a reference to
Clowns?
little orcs or black coated thing.
Oh no.
Which now
is-
that Amazon has bastardized the entire franchise, because before orcs were just corrupted elves, right? And elves were all Caucasian or white. And now it's like, oh, there's black elves, so now orcs can be black. So it's self-fulfilling prophecy, yo.
So
Yeah.
there's a thing that is commonly mispronounced as orc cloud. It's the Ort cloud. They sound almost identical. One's a T,
Yeah.
one's a K. But it's a belt of effectively interplanetary debris that forms a shell around a large chunk of our solar system. It's effectively
Space turtle.
it's far beyond Pluto, if I remember correctly, and
Which is not a
it's
planet anymore. Rest
Yeah,
in
it's-
peace.
not a planet anymore, but it's just this belt of celestial schmutz that exists outside of our solar system. Or not quite entirely outside the solar system, outside of the named planet solar system, but not out of the entire solar area, if that makes sense.
I'm with Coco. All hail the space turtle.
Yeah. I'm sure Sora agrees too, you know?
Yep. So I now want someone to make the Ort massage game where you're just massaging the Ort cloud. And it's
That'd be
very
fun.
confusing because you're going, what the fuck am I even looking at? As you just
All hail the glow cloud.
How high with the eagle balls do you have to be to play that game?
I don't know. I think you just have to play enough Orc massage to go, what the fuck's an Orc massage? And
Yeah,
click on it.
well, I asked that in the first place. I'm so glad I do not wander around randomly in these things.
And
It's
if you're-
on Steam, dude.
Yeah, I'm on Steam, but I have no idea what the fuck an orc
have
massage
you
is.
not ventured into the
No.
horny side of Steam?
No.
It's not even that hard to find. The latest game I have is I'm trying to even think.
Well, you
I
should
don't
look up
play it that
Haunted
Hold
much.
on, hold on. You don't. Nobody brought up what was the latest.
No, we're talking about the way we find the horniest game I have is Honey Pop, and I haven't played it in forever. But like
Mhm.
I was
Isn't that
recommended
a shmup?
Orc.
Oh, I thought it was one of those like side-scrolling shooting games. Like,
No, it's like a puzzle solver with a lot of fan service.
It's a visual novel puzzle solver.
hey,
There we go.
wow.
And I regret that purchase ever since. Well, I mean, I like the game, but I still regret the purchase ever since.
Nice.
I only bought it because the creator was under a lot of controversy. They tried to get her canceled for the first game.
Mhm.
So I'm
Really?
like, you know what? I'm going to support you. I'm buying your game.
Yeah, because how dare you make horny games for people that want horny games?
Yeah.
No, there was a
can't cater
character
to
that you
enough
could
fantasy.
toggle between an innie and an outie, and a lot of people were offended by that. Trying to say it was bigotry, even though it's literally giving you options.
Yeah, and the people that really want trans characters should be really happy about that because that's trans representation right there.
Oh, that's. I mean, they say that's what they want, but that's not what they want, and that's what they read on Twitter about. So again, I supported the creator.
It's kind of like how the Cyberpunk 2077 drama was, which was absolutely
Yes.
fucking ridiculous.
And again, I bought Cyberpunk. I can't play it because my computer's Garbo, but I bought it.
Yeah, that just drove me crazy because I'm going, why? I thought the point of being trans was that you wanted to transition. We're dealing with a future tech civilization where you're able to swap body parts at the drop of a hat. Why the fuck would you, as a trans woman, not just be a trans woman in your backstory, but your body parts are all swapped? Because they can make a completely functional pussy in this universe.
Modification's the name of the game. Anyone can do it for anything.
Yeah.
And
like
you're mad about options. You're mad about options.
This would be Cyberpunk 2077 would absolutely have the designer genitalia shop.
Back on this again, huh?
Yes, back on this. Where you could go in and you'd be able to decide your nerve density for your desired genitalia. You'd be able to get some weird mod if you wanted. Do you want the rabbit ears on the top of your cock? Go for it. You'd be able to customize the ever-living fuck out of your genitals in that type of world.
Yeah.
And they were getting pissed off with, well, I can't make a 7-foot-tall bearded man that goes by she. Can I just beat you to death with a cane now? Is that...
You're making it really hard to like just even like you as a human being in general, man.
Yeah.
Wait, is that?
I don't respect you in any capacity or your opinions.
Well,
straight to the bin.
When I played Cyberpunk, I was a chick with a dick just because it was funny. You know.
And you were saying, Adam?
No, was that what they were arguing about? Because I remember there was the issues with Cyberpunk about the patchwork, but that's gamer stuff.
Two different camps.
That came out later. Yeah. The advertising is what caused the shitstorm. There is bugginess, from what I've heard from trusted people. So yeah, you can criticize the gameplay like all you want. That's a free game. It's a free market.
But I remember seeing about the trans issue, but that's what it was that they didn't like that you had the options. Or
with the trans issue, it was, if I remember correctly, Cyberpunk 2077 effectively released its character creator as a tease for the game while they were still in development. So people started fiddling around with it, found out you could choose male body, female body, and then you could modify each of those to a ridiculous degree.
And
like innies or outies.
And then after doing that, if you chose female body, if I remember correctly, the issue was that it defaulted to she, her. If you chose male body, it defaulted to he, him. And that was where they lost their fucking mind.
Well, it's because they didn't have the fake genders in there, the non-binary.
It's because they didn't have they, them, or you could still pick she, her, but modify it to look exactly like a bruh.
Well, the thing was that in the original, or in the first version, because they patched that, I think was the first patch for the character creation, was they made it so that, okay, fine, you can choose she, her as a male body, you could choose he, him as a female body. I think it started with, if you chose male, it would go he, him. If you chose female, it would go she, her. Then they did that. Then they ended up adding more shit. And you're just going, okay, I can kind of see why you crapped out the game that you did, because you were apparently patching in shit that like 4 people online wanted rather than, I don't know, fixing the bugs.
Well, most game companies don't fix bugs anymore. Get the modders do it.
I miss those days.
Yeah, imagine the online crowd that got so mad about their own personal headcanon that bugs could have been fixed, but they prioritized your tornado storm of Garbo.
Yeah. Bugs could have been fixed.
Man.
Your mod for you can choose whatever fucking pronoun you want. Could have been swapped in at the drop of a hat by a modder without any problem. But nah, let's produce a half-finished game because we're too busy dealing with people bitching that you can't have weird pronouns for a male or female body. And they also got pissed that it was a male or female body were the two choices.
But that's the only two choices possible, you know?
Yeah, it was just absolute horseshit. The entire thing from top to bottom. It was fucking weird.
What I find interesting is that the development team actually went along with it.
Yep.
Like if
even Anita Sarkeesian was taking a dump on it when the game first got released or was announced. I can't remember exactly, but once she gets her gnarled hands on something, it's all downhill from there.
Yeah,
wait, so
she is irrelevant until she has an opinion on something mainstream, and I hate it. But more people talk about it, and again, snowball down the hill, but it's not snow. It's a steaming pile.
Wait, did she go for it or against it?
Against it, of course. What do you think? It's Anita.
It was Anita, and it didn't have her desired politics baked into every aspect until you don't have a game where you get to choose stuff. You just are playing through a visual storybook as written by Anita.
Yeah. Plus,
I am grateful I haven't heard about her since. I don't know what she's up to, and I don't care anymore.
Well, she did a semester 10 years after she started her complaints.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's still just doing her normal cycle of, I'll do this series, pay me. And she gets money. She never does
and never
series.
does it. Oh, she did a Zoe. She did a Zoe Quinn.
Yep. Yeah, they wanted androgynous. They wanted the ability to pick pronouns rather than them defaulting to the body. They wanted the ability to have all kinds of just weird shit tacked into the character creator.
What's crazy to me is this all sounds like you're not even leaving the front door. You know,
Yep.
like you haven't even started the game yet. You're still at the options menu.
Yeah.
Arguing. like holy shit. if that's your biggest case, maybe you just don't play the game.
Yep.
Dude, at least Yandere Simulator had a beta to play. Frick,
wow.
Zoe's game, so
I'm
much
still
to go
amazed. Didn't Yandere Simulator actually come out not too long ago?
There was a Yandere. I was comparing Yandere Simulator to Zoe Quinn's unpublished thing that she kickstarted herself as well. But yeah, Yandere, it's been out for a while. It's a sandbox, but you could at least play it. The quote unquote official, what would you call it? Beta or whatever. The terminology escapes me at the moment. It's late at night. But that came out the official, unofficial release of the game because he finally incorporated rivals for the love protagonist. So that's something. Kappa Kaiju, if you haven't heard of him, he's a good YouTuber. He covers that.
His video on that is amazing.
He covers that game extensively to every concern is addressed, and he's not only is he a cutie patootie, but he knows his stuff. So I'm shilling, not paid. I'm shilling though, kind of fangirling.
Yeah, he goes to an absolutely amazing degree. But I know that there was something that came out, I want to say last year or the year before, where it was, holy shit, there was actually progress. Because this game it's being programmed by, I think, one dude. And he's just been constantly adding things rather than finishing anything.
The actual game.
Yeah. And it was the rivals were finally added in last year, right?
Yeah, it was, and it's been what is it, 8 years in the making?
Let's see, when did it start? It is.
Google it real quick. Yeah, it's been going
Yep.
on for. There's actually a Twitter account dedicated to it. Things have come out before Yonder Day Simulator. I'm gonna find that Twitter account too and post it for you guys because I'm pretty sure I'm following them.
Okay,
Things that happened
so-
before Yonder Day. It's almost got 100,000 followers, by the way.
Nice.
Development began in 2014.
It's been almost 10 years. Ow, 8? I nailed it.
Yep.
Woot woot.
Yeah, it's been 8 years, and it finally included Rivals 2 years ago. It included the first official demo released along with the first rival. One of the rivals was finally released. It was Osana, was finally released.
And freaking PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye were all playing it when it first was announced years ago. Like it was, everyone was looking forward to it. The man's made buco bucks even after the hype has died several years later. His Patreon's still live and active and getting a couple $1,000s a month. And while understandably it's just him by himself, he's also had 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And volunteers, by the way.
It's right up there with Star Citizen.
Okay. Star Citizen is a bit different beast, though.
Yep.
Because you charge a lot of money for what? $5,000 for a ship?
Well, the thing is that it was way too ambitious of a project. Yeah. So there's no way that it could have reasonably actually followed through with what it was saying that it was going to do. But it's still technically in development, I think.
Yeah. And
it has been since, let's see, pre-production of the game began in 2010.
Sheesh.
And it is still in production. It is absolutely fucking insane. It's one of those things that everyone got really excited for. There's certain parts of the game have been released as demos.
Okay.
Because it was meant to be this enormous game that had space combat, ground combat. You could have an entire functional economy running in the game. You could become anything in space that you wanted to. You could be a smuggler, a trader. You could take over a planet and rule the planet and all this complex shit from all over the place. And they realized at a certain point, okay, so mixing all of this together will be really fucking difficult in one game.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty ambitious. I mean, look how long it takes for a Elder Scrolls game to come out, and that's freaking Bethesda, man.
Yep. So they
have a better excuse than Yonder Day Dev.
Oh, yeah. They decided to kind of break it up into pieces, and they were going to have it be a bunch of games that all communicated with each other effectively. So there's a mod that does it with 2 games fairly similar. Have you guys heard of the mod for CK3 and Mountain Blade? I think it's Mountain Blade 2, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
I haven't heard of either of these things.
So CK3 is Crusader Kings 3. Have you ever heard of Crusader Kings?
Yeah.
Yep.
Vaguely. It's ringing some kind of bell, but off in the distance.
It is a massive grand strategy, just what the fuck is this game? Beautiful son of a bitch. So let me quickly pull up, because I actually wrote a short review after playing the game for a while. That was just a summary of like my second character that I had tried to run with in the game. So let's see. There it is. The standard fantastic CK goodness. Become a ruler. Go mad. Become a witch accidentally. Realize your best marriage option is one of your kin and commit incest. Watch as your daughter just keeps on slaughtering your wives. Get crippled and then get poisoned.
What?
Yeah.
That sounds like a bad Dao Shinshi. What is happening?
So in Crusader Kings, what happens is you choose a character and you're really playing that character's dynasty. So you start out as a character, you have to make sure that they get heirs, and you start amassing power. When your character finally dies, your character's heir takes over, and you start playing as them. And you keep on building your dynasty, building your empire, taking over more and more land, until eventually you either have taken over the world, damn near impossible, or you die horrendously.
Yeah.
And all your children die horrendously. So most of the game is just in these completely random goddamn events that will pop up. Either random countries will declare war on you, random areas will raid you, shit like that, all driven by the AI, or just completely random events like, hey, you decided to go out on a hunt and you killed your best friend. Congratulations.
Or when your kid's just born with disfigurements, you know.
Yeah, one of your kids has gills. You think that he's a demon, you drown him in the bathtub. Shit
But
like
joke's on you, he has gills.
Oh, come on. Gil's not a bad name.
shit like that will happen, where it's just like, what the fuck? And you'll become a witch by accident at least once. You'll marry someone that you weren't paying close attention to, find out that you just committed incest, and now you have a flipper baby getting popped out of your sister, wife, cousin, and just all kinds of weird shit happens in this game. It is amazing because of that. Then Mountain Blade.
It does sound just like the sheer amount of possibilities. Like, it's literally a roll of the dice, man. And I love, I love chance games. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, it's a absolutely glorious clusterfuck of a game.
Yeah, I did a playthrough of it once, a couple times.
Yep. It is amazing. I just play that game, though I will warn you, the learning curve of this game is not even like a sheer wall. No, it is angled towards you. So you're having to climb up this fucking wall upside down almost to get to the point where you kind of understand what the fuck's going on.
And what's the name of this game again?
Crusader Kings 3.
All right.
It's a Paradox interactive game. Paradox.
I'm making a bookmark of it so I don't forget.
Yeah, it is known.
I mean, I've been a gamer. How hard can it be to like familiarize myself with it? There we go. I can speak.
If your first 4 characters don't end up enslaved or raped in prison, I'll be surprised. And at least 2 of them will be poisoned by either their wife or their child.
Or both.
True. Sometimes by their parent.
Yeah.
It is gloriously just what the fuck is going on in this game. I love it. Then Mountain Blade is a role-playing third-person / first-person battle simulating game.
Yeah.
So you roll around the map, you hire up people to join your mercenary company, you start trading or fighting, or trading and fighting, you kidnap some nobles, you sell them off to interesting people or ransom them back to their family, you conquer lands, become king, all that good shit. So there's a mod that if you have both Mountain Blade, I want to say it's Mountain Blade 2, is the newest one. I always mix up which one's the newest one of that because I can't remember if it's 2 came out or if it's 3 that came out recently. Let me quickly check. It is Mount and Blade. It looks like it's probably, yeah, it's Mount and Blade 2. So there's a mod that if you have both those games, then rather than the battles being decided as they currently are in Crusader Kings, it ends up popping you into a battle that is being played through the Mount and Blade engine that is set up in the way that is closest to the military that you have and that you're fighting in the Crusader Kings game. So it's blended those two games in a cool manner.
Nice.
But Star Citizen effectively decided that they would break up their one impossibly massive game into a number of smaller games.
Yeah.
And that they would try to get them all to be able to blend kind of like that. So you would start in one, and if you decide, like you're in the ground game of, or the ground combat game, and you grabbed a ship and you went into space, and it would pop you into the one that actually dealt in space.
Yeah, well, building systems on top of systems is difficult, you know.
Yeah. It is, like I said, a game that is impossibly positioned where it just had such a massive idea for what the game would be and everything that would be involved.
Yeah.
As you were listening to it, you were getting ever more certain this game is just never going to fucking come out. It's doomed to development hell just because there's no way that it won't be. You might get this game in 30 years if the tech develops enough.
Yeah.
And I hear Adam chuckling.
Oh, sorry.
What are you chuckling about?
Shit, I don't know.
Spit it out. Spit it out.
I was laughing at a funny Marmaduke comic.
I know that you're probably seeing it online, but I really just have the image of you reading over the fucking Friday paper.
I'm sorry. You were saying?
I was just ranting about games trapped in development hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'm a little bit hurt. He's reading Marmaduke, and there's a conversation between other adult human beings here. He's ignoring us.
Well, in his defense, neither of us are a Great Dane.
This is true.
Ouch.
This is very difficult.
I'm going to go wander off now. No.
I'm just a spoon, so, you know.
You know, a Great Dane wouldn't wander off. just putting that out there.
Well,
Just
like,
due to how my mind works, once I said Great Dane, I, of course, had the dog in my mind, but I also got the death poem of Ragnar Lothbrok in my head. Oh, how the piggies will squeal when they hear how the old boar died.
I need to finish watching
What?
Vikings. That was a good TV show.
Holy shit. How do we get from there to there?
It would help if you weren't reading comics while we're talking.
You get sidetracked sometimes.
The reason why I
can't argue with that. That's sound logic right there.
Yeah. And the reason that I got from Great Dane to the death poem of Ragnar Lothbrok is a lot of the Norse conquest of England were by peoples that would now be considered Danes. And the 3 main leaders of the Norse conquest were Ivar the Boneless, Ubba Lothbrokson, Halfdan Lothbrokson, and I think it was Sven Lothbrokson. And they were the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok. So that's where that connection came from. And then the 5th main leader of the Norse invasion was Guthrum the Unlucky. What did Marmaduke do now?
No, I was gonna say, it's kind of funny that you're talking about these kind of folk, and wasn't Bluetooth one of these leaders, and
Oh,
really famous for a connection? Wow, that was a bad. That was a bad
That is a
joke.
bad one.
That was bad. I didn't want to say it, but I finished reading the Marmaduke jokes, and I didn't have anything else to go with. Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
You're
the
killing me, Smalls.
Bluetooth is Harold Bluetooth. And to give his full name, it was Harold Bluetooth Gormson. And it's actually the reason why the Bluetooth symbol is what the Bluetooth symbol is. Because the Bluetooth symbol is a combination of the Barcano and the Nordic H. I can't remember. It's not the Elder Falthark Nordic H, which that one I would know. It's the later generation. It isn't even younger. It's the one after younger Falthark. But the B portion of the Bluetooth is actually the Barcano rune, which is Elder Falthark. And yes, I do know this because I am a complete fucking nerd.
We're honest about something, though.
Well, come on, dude. I initiated the joke.
Yep.
So I'm a nerd, too.
You're invited to the club.
Oh.
But yes, the Bluetooth symbol is the Bluetooth symbol because it's the Nordic H as well as the Barcano combined.
See, ladies and gentlemen, you'll learn something with each and every Minions of the Zoo episode. So make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell, and make sure you write a comment saying how funny we are.
It really helps us. It really helps us in the algorithm.
Oh yeah, algorithm. Do all that stuff, and we'll be great.
So they've done their portion. Useless. Does that mean that you're currently wearing the beanie?
Are you wearing a beanie?
No, I'm not.
Why are you wearing a beanie? Are you inside?
Hi,
Well,
Tim
you guys,
Pool.
the
How
rest
you
of
doing?
the Tim Pool.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So who would I be in Tim Pool? I don't want to be that long-haired guy.
No, you guys weren't being other people from the Tim Pool show. I'm saying that you guys did the full Tim Pool. Like, share, comment, it helps in the algorithm.
And I made a Count Dankula reference. Thank you very much.
Oh, I
Sure.
figured it was just like a general
It really helps me in
YouTuber
the algorithm.
screamer.
It is, but it's just, I always associate that with Tim Pool because he was the first person to really start hammering that home.
I haven't watched him in so long. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know what he's up to these days.
Was it Tim Pool or was it Philly D?
It might have been Philly
No,
D.
Philly Day says start that convo down below. Something like that.
Oh,
I
yeah,
also,
yeah.
again, I haven't seen his stupid face in forever.
And it's because, remember, this is a conversation. No, it isn't. It's a fucking YouTube video. What the fuck are you on about?
Well, you know, he's
You mean the comments that you delete and edit? Okay, it's a convo, bro. It's a
Yeah.
video you post. I mean, at least he hasn't gone the whole podcast, situation. Does he do podcasting, or is he still doing posted videos?
I think he's still doing posted videos. Also, every time that I think of Count Dankula recently, ever since he had the kid, I just remember the tweet that he put out as a joke of the missus keeps on talking about how our little girl is the cutest thing in the whole world. I know what to do now.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was a joke about his hairline. It was a joke about his hairline.
No, that one was a joke about the start of the infamous video now.
Oh my God, you're right.
The missus is always talking about how our little pug is the cutest thing in the whole world. So I decided to make him the least cute thing I could possibly imagine.
I mean, knowing Scotland, they'd arrest her too. He can't do it. He can't do it.
Yeah, he did it entirely as a
I know, as a reference callback. I love it.
As a lark. It was fantastic, though. I burst out laughing when I saw that tweet.
Well, jokes are bad now anyway, so.
He made a tweet because he was taking a nap. The one I thought you were talking about was he took a nap with his daughter, and like he was like, "Oh, Sue thought like the kid was the cutest thing, and I could all I could focus on was my hairline. Would rule high rule or something like that." That's what I was thinking of.
The full-blown Ganon.
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, we've ranted about video games, and we've ranted about the bullshit take that people on the right are allies of Putin ideologically, because horse shit. Do you guys have anything else that you're dying to talk about, or just something that you felt like rambling about?
I haven't been too terribly online nowadays. Normie Twitter found out what Berserk, the anime and manga, was.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
and
That
they
was amusing.
entirely missed the goddamn point.
Yeah.
Yep. It went zoom over
That
that
they
head.
usually do.
Yeah, and it's, again, a good chunk of it is, how dare evil people in fantasy works do evil things?
I'm still
What?
laughing. I'm still laughing about Goblin Slayer, let alone normies finding out about what Berserk is. I'm just having a fucking field day.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that they were getting really pissed off about when I saw them talking about Berserk was the shit that the Apostles did. So, Gabby, I take it you know Berserk.
Yep.
The other two, Useless and Adam, do you guys know what the Apostles are in Berserk?
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Gabby, do you want to explain the Apostles, or shall I?
You are the most eloquent of gentlemen. I will leave it up to you.
hold on. The other
Flattery
two,
will get you everywhere. So,
That's yay.
and yes, Adam, do you happen to know who the Apostles are in Berserk?
well, I do, but now I don't want to say because I'm considered the other two.
Well, considering that I referenced Gabby right away, yeah, you guys would be the other two, because you guys aren't Gabby, nor are you myself. I can't be referring to myself as part of the others.
That is fair. You can't even be mad about that. That is fair.
No, I could be mad.
It's just grammatically accurate.
You could be mad
Much as
about
I want.
anything, but like that's a really poor thing to be mad about, bro.
Well, you know what? I'm saving a lot of money, so because I went with Geico, and so now I'm being very mad. Wow.
So, Adam, do you want to explain the Apostles, or shall I explain it?
Yeah, go ahead and explain it, sir, because
So-
you're better at it.
The Apostles are people that started out as humans, then they effectively became the individuals that are the most aligned with the demons by giving themselves over in large part to the demons. So they gain massive amounts of power, massive amounts of like stamina, resistance, all that good shit. But almost 100% of them go fucking insane and violently fucking insane. There's a couple exceptions later on that are able to really control themselves, and they're kind of freaky and fucked up because how the hell are you an apostle and you're able to be that calm? That's scary as shit. But one of the apostles at one point, I can't remember the one off the top of my head, but there's a entire page of him riding around with the severed limbs of women and children bouncing out of a sack that's on his horse. And just like people on spikes and all kinds of hellishly horrific shit happening around him. And people are outraged that it shows women and children being murdered by this man, and this is being glorified. And I'm going, you mother... He's one of the villains. This is showing off how ridiculously fucked up this man is. He is supposed...
He's cementing his legacy as a terrible piece of anything that anyone can ever hate, and it's just like, you're glorifying it. And I'm like, okay, so all the frickin'
So when you show images of the Holocaust, you're glorifying the Holocaust?
Right? Or like all the dumping you're putting on like Trump and stuff, like, oh, you're mentioning him, are you glorifying it? Like,
yeah. And
I think by now we can all say that with a good measure, when somebody has such stern criticism on something, they probably mean the opposite.
Quite often.
It's really like getting to the point where I'm looking at things and I'm seeing them like say, hey, I don't like this, and it's like, well, actually, you're arguing this.
Are you talking about the Mr. Pizza argument?
Wait, what?
The Mr. Pizza, he was a journalist who was very anti-Trump, very liberal, and he talked about how anime was. He literally talked about how anime was for pedos, and guess what he is in jail for?
Yep.
Anime?
yeah, sure. Anime, fictional characters will send you to jail. No, for soliciting sex from literal children. Well, what he thought were children.
He was a black market mangaka, Adam. It was a very interesting sting operation in order to catch him.
Man, you could just see him sitting there in the back alley, just flipping them pages and just sniffing it. Yeah, fresh manga.
But yeah, they're getting pissed off at the image of this apostle doing horrendous things when the entire point is the apostles are ridiculously fucked. And that one in particular is meant to be one of the least in control of himself apostles. So everything he does is dialed up to a ridiculous point. He has a bunch of humans that follow him around because all the humans know that if they don't act exactly how he wants them to act, he will fucking murder them. And half the time, even when they act the way that he wants them to act, he will murder them. If they aren't laughing as they're slaughtering people, he will kill them. If they aren't laughing in a convincing way, he'll kill them. If they aren't having fun, he'll kill them. If they aren't drinking, he'll kill them. If they refuse to kill someone, he'll kill them.
Are you having fun? You're dead.
Yeah. It is made clear.
Party foul, bro, you die.
It is made clear that this guy is completely drunk on bloodlust.
Oh, shit.
And completely fucking mental. And they're bitching and moaning about this character, that his entire character is that he's a horrendous butcher and completely goddamn just fucked. Is doing really fucked up things. That's how the character is.
Ooh.
And it makes sense in the universe. In fact, if that character didn't exist in that universe, it wouldn't make sense that he didn't exist in that universe. This is how this shit works. You come up with the world, and I can't remember what author I read say this, where the way that he writes is he comes up with the world, and he establishes all the rules for the world. Then he comes up with the idea of a character. And then he sets that character into the world that he's made. And he sees how that character reacts.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he wants something good to happen to this character. If the rules of the world and the way that this character would react to how the world functions ends in tragedy, then it ends in tragedy. And that's the only legitimate way to tell that story. If
Please DM me when you find out who that quote's from, because that's so logical, beautiful, and so lore-based and consistent. I applaud it. I applaud that stance.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because it was one of the fantasy authors that I really love. And I'm leaning towards it might have been Sanderson that said it. Which, have you ever read any of Brandon Sanderson's books?
I have not.
I don't think so either.
Sanderson's works are fantastic. He has a massive universe of stories called
Nice.
The Cosmere that he's been working on, where it's a bunch of different individual book series and one-offs that are in this world, or in this universe, each telling a section of the story that if you piece them together, you get the entire universe fitting together nicely. So the ones that I would recommend starting with, because it has kind of that really good, if the story ends in tragedy, the story ends in tragedy. It's the Mistborn Trilogy. And the premise of the Mistborn Trilogy is that it starts off on this one world where you have, it's Scadia, if I remember correctly, is the name of the, let me quickly double check that it's Scadia, because it's either Scadia as that one or Scadia as the Stormlight Archive. But I think, no, Rashar is the Stormlight Archive. Mistborn, let me double check the Mistborn world. It is Scadrial. That's what it is. Scadrial is the name of the world. And in Scadrial, you have the Empire, which is ruled over by, of course, the Emperor, who is this ridiculous god being, been alive for as long as anyone knows, claims that he made the world what it is, has ridiculous power. People have tried to kill him time and time again. They have failed and died miserably. He has a bunch of government bureaucrats. Pretty much everyone that's born to the bureaucracy have interesting abilities. Then there's the Terrace men, who are, most of the men of Terrace are castrated at a very young age and then given away as gentlemen's gentlemen to various nobles within the world, various bureaucrats within the world. You have a low class of people that are technically of the same race as the nobles and everyone, or the nobles and the bureaucracy, but are treated as if they're complete filth and as if they're an entirely different race. And it starts with a thief of that lowest caste and how they find out what their role in the world is. And there's a band of thieves that is plotting to take down the Emperor. That's how the book starts. It is fantastic. And it has really depressing moments, because if it makes sense, given a character's nature in that world, for them to do something that causes them pain, that causes them suffering, that causes them to die, that character will fucking take that action because it makes sense to them. It is the action that they would take if they were a living person in that world. Sanderson's work, I cannot praise enough, especially since every world within the Cosmere has unique magic systems. And they're unique hard magic systems. Which, writing a hard magic system is a pain in the ass to begin with.
Yeah.
But then having every magic system have a unique feel. Like in just the Mistborn series, there's Allomancy, which is certain people, they're able to consume different types of metals. And depending on what abilities they have and what metal they consume, they're able to do different things. So if someone's I believe it's Iron Lurcher, then what they can do is they can consume some iron, they can burn the iron within their body, and as they're burning the iron within their body, they can pull metal towards them. If the metal weighs more than they do, they go flying towards the metal.
Oh, nice.
If the metal weighs less than they do, the metal comes flying towards them. Then you have steel shots. And if a steel shot, a coin shot, consumes steel, then they have the opposite power. Rather than pulling, they push. So any metal around them, they pick up a coin, they're able to push that coin away from them. If they push against a piece of metal that is not able to move away from them, they move away from it. So they can push themselves and toss themselves around by just pushing on different fittings of metal on different buildings, or pinning a coin to the ground and just pushing straight down against it. You have Pewter Arms, which if they consume pewter, they can burn it and they become much stronger, much faster. You have Tin Eyes, where if they consume tin, then they can burn it and they get much sharper senses. So you have Allomancy with all those cool powers. And then you have I think it's Hemallurgy is one of the other powers in that world. And that one, if you insert a spike of metal of the right type for the powers that a person has into that person, killing them in the process and driving it into another person, you're able to transfer the power to that second person.
Huh.
And then there's another one, which is Ferrochemy, and that one is able to store different things in different metals. So if you have a pewter bracer, you can make yourself much weaker than you are normally. And as you're doing that, you're storing strength into the pewter bracelet that you're wearing. And then at any time in the future, you can decide to draw as much of the strength out of that bracer as you want. But once you've drawn all the strength out, there's no more. You just revert back to normal. But you can either draw a small amount for a long period of time, or you can just suddenly Hulk out as you draw all the strength in a burst. So all of these powers have different abilities. They have different feels entirely. And they're just, that's one world has these three types of magic. And those three types feel that different.
Huh.
And each of the different books and book series has a different type of magic. for their world, and it explains how this happens as you read more and more of these books. They're amazing. I cannot recommend the works within the Sanderson Cosmere enough. Sounds like you're about to have to tap out. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's getting there.
You doing okay, buddy?
It's normal for me. Just a flare up, you know.
Yep.
Oh no, that sounds interesting. Was it what, Brandon Sanders?
Brandon Sanderson.
Okay, I gotta look that up then.
Yep. He's one of the fantasy writers that I really love. Right up there with Larry Correia and Jim Butcher.
Nice. Because I started reading the Wheel of Time for recommendations from somebody. If I forgot who recommended it though.
It was probably Skep, myself, and I think Sora also
Oh, okay.
has read it. Because I know I've talked about the Wheel of Time and how Robert Jordan is another absolutely amazing author.
Yeah.
And that's another one that he set up the world, he put the characters in it, and the way that the characters act, sometimes it'll end in tragedy, but that's the way that the character would act given the information that they have, given the world that they're in.
Yeah. Well, talking about anime, I noticed a lot of new animes are willing to kill, major characters now.
Yep.
They usually don't do that. This is really part of the story.
It depends on the anime or manga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it depends on what age they're meant for.
Yeah.
Like, shonen tend not to kill that much. I think.
Yeah.
Am I remembering?
They
No,
do.
it's
No, I
true.
mean, like, Luffy's older brother was slaughtered in One Piece, and One Piece is one of the top 3.
Yeah, what's the one for younger boys? Because it's shonen is the kind of like teen boys, right?
Shonen is just like action. It's meant more towards a male demographic, but it's not for boys per se. It just depends on the creation. And again, that's not exactly my forte, so I can't really tell you otherwise.
Well, Jack,
Yeah.
didn't you want to like Attack on Titan because he killed almost everybody in that series?
That teaches you sorrow.
Yeah.
But even in like Hunter x Hunter, like that teaches you like
Yeah.
some characters will show up, you might never hear from them again, or they might show up, be super awesome, and then just die.
And I was remembering correctly that shonen is the one that I was thinking where it's aimed towards younger teen males, whereas it's seinen is the older teen males, or older teens and up to like 50.
Well, I got
So-
the anime culture is like they don't give a fuck about these diversity people.
Oh yeah,
No, and thank God we're going to
Yeah.
gatekeep for as long and hard as we can.
Yeah.
Hold the ground.
and the thing that is really amazing about it is you've heard comics are for everyone crowd. The problem is that, yeah, comics in general, they can be for everyone.
Yeah.
They can be. Action comics are for people that like action. Mystery comics should be for people that like mystery. That's how it should be set up. So you should have comics that are for each type of person so that in general, yeah, comics are for everyone. But every
Comics, just like anime or manga, is a medium. There's so many different genres. There's so many different
Exactly.
categories, and yet so many people just lose sight of that. And so it's like,
So they try to make
I
it
used
so
to
that
see the idea of gatekeeping, but at the same time, it's like for the upteenth, millionth, gazillionth time, I've seen complaints about fan service. Like, dude, go away. Like, you're trying to say sexist, and like what, 60 to 70% of manga artists are, guess what, whamming.
And
Fuck
For me,
off with your
fans, I don't really
complaints
like
of
fan service
sexism.
that much, depending on what it is.
and the
Yeah,
thing is
it's just ergo like issue of
Yeah.
the day. Go
Yeah.
away. take your virtue signaling stuff out of here. I already don't like America for that. Don't make my Japanese entertainment about your standards. Go away.
And
Shut
yeah,
up.
Cook,
Shoot.
no way,
Shoot.
exactly right. Insert blank is for everyone, but not all insert blank is for everyone is the most general way of phrasing it. Because comics in general, yeah, there should be a comic for anyone.
It's like music, you know.
Jack said before.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they're trying to make every comic for everyone, which, as the sale numbers out of the comic industry is showing, when you make every comic for everyone, you've actually made every comic for fucking no one.
Yeah.
So
Doesn't
people
make
just
sense.
stop buying them. Whereas when you look at anime is very much anime is for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Manga's for everyone. But
It has surpassed comic book sales in the U.S. for a few years now.
Yeah.
single manga have surpassed.
Demon Slayer surpassed all of
Demon
Marvel.
Slayer surpassed all of the U.S. comic industry, if I remember the stat correctly.
Yes.
And the thing is that the Japanese, they agree that manga and anime should be for everyone. But the way that they go about it is they make a bunch of different types of manga and a bunch of different types of anime, and they'll change up the art style, they'll change up the storyline. So you have not one comic about golf, not one story about golf. No, you have a golf genre of manga. There's a shit ton of golf mangas.
It's like trying to complain that English literature is just for one audience when there's kids' books, teenage books, like fiction, science fiction, like biographies. Like, it's the same kind of relevance. It's like, stop complaining about this one medium, dude.
And they have it broken up. So there's, like you said, the shonen tend to be fairly action oriented, and they tend to star fairly kind of young or mid-teen males as the protagonists.
And they can still grow large with every kind of demographic. Like, look at Jujutsu Kaisen. That's a shonen, and guess what? Everyone loves it.
Yep, it can grow large with any audience as long as the people like that sort of work. But they do acknowledge that it is something that kind of just appeals to men a little bit more than women in general, which is why it's shonen, because that's, if I remember correctly, functionally translates into like young boys or young males. And you have shonen, you have seinen. So shonen is young. You have seinen for pretty much everyone, every male older than the shonen demographic. Then you have shoujo, which is for young girls. And those have different themes, different ideas in them versus the shonen. Because in shonen, the climax of a season will be this massive fucking fight between the villain for that arc and the protagonist and the protagonist's friends, and they'll just be kicking each other's asses, and then this one side will win, and that's the end of that arc. Awesome. In shoujo, the climax for the arc is normally finding out something about one of the main characters that wasn't known before, finding out how someone really feels.
Shoujo is more of a romance, and even then, I've known like 40, 50-year-old dudes who have enjoyed that category as well. It just depends on the story.
Yeah.
And what they've done is shoujo will often have fights in shoujo, but it focuses less on the fights and more on the interpersonal. And
the relationships and the interaction between the character development. Not that every story doesn't have character development, but like some things are obviously just like with Americanized or whatever. There's drama TV series. There's like trash TV. Like there's character. Like again, it's just another medium.
Well, did
Hold
you
on,
ever
are
see
you
that?
saying that there's a range?
Yeah, it's always a range.
Yeah. And the thing is that, like I said, when it comes to shoujo, they'll stress more the emotion aspect, less the physical conflict. When it comes to shonen, they'll stress more the physical conflict and less the emotional. There'll still be emotional conflict. Though in shonen, it's just not the focus. There'll still be physical conflict in shoujo. It's just not the main focus. And you see the same things kind of carry over into seinen, and I can't remember the comic genre for women, but there's another genre that is for women, effectively, that is aged up shoujo. And they break it up into those. And then, like I said, you don't have one manga about golfing. There are hordes of golfing manga. You don't have one manga about basketball. You have hordes of manga about basketball.
Or volleyball or tennis.
Yep. Pick a
And the
topic.
list goes on.
Yeah. Pick a topic. Pick a genre. And you have manga about it. You have manga about fucking chess tournaments.
Mm-hmm. Or literally the old game Go.
Yep.
The Japanese game Go.
Yep. One of the manga that is really famous in Japan is entirely about mahjong. It's a mahjong manga. It is really insanely famous in Japan because the main character's badass in it. Doesn't fight, but it's really cool how he thinks through everything.
There's an award-winning manga in Japan called, like, literally A Man and His Cat, and it's literally about, like, an old pianist who's, spoiler alert, a man and his cat, spoiler alert, his wife dies, and she always wanted a cat. He adopts a cat, and again, it's won awards, and it's just literally about a man and his cat.
Yep.
Title, explanation, delivered.
Yeah,
Boom.
you have the ones that are slice of life. You have the grand stories where it's this massive conflict that's threatening the entire world. You have ones where it's a conflict, but it's more of a local conflict. You have ones where it's very just, let's fucking fight. Let's get this solved. You have others where it's everyone's trying to outthink everyone else. And because you have that variety, there is a manga, there is an anime that is out there for anyone.
When people realize it's just a medium, like it's so much easier to explain it to people.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of preconceived notions.
Yeah, everyone assumes, oh, you're talking about manga and anime, so the ridiculous fights and the lots of TNA. Well, yes, there are those, but that isn't all.
Oh, come on, man. It's easy to just simply bucket everything into one category.
Yep.
But no one does that with, like, like literature in the Western world. Like, we understand there's different categories.
Well, you say
But
no one does that, but we have someone in chat that actively does that.
Who?
Fucking Jack Gunsky.
You shouldn't
Yeah.
have.
Oh, you
Fuck
think
Jack.
that you're high and mighty being able to read?
Jack? In the YouTube chat?
Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen him post in a little bit.
Quippers United is Jack.
But every anime
Look
is
at
Dragon
him,
Ball.
look at him.
That's a shit post. I know that's a shit post.
No,
That is a shitpost, but Jack
That's him
is one of the
peddling
few
his
people that
wares.
I've heard go on a tirade that is against reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking to a bookworm, man.
Yeah, he has gone on.
I'm not sad. I'm just disappointed.
He has gone on tirades about how he thinks that most people don't even read as much as they claim to. They just say that they do in order to seem more important and more intelligent than they actually are.
Jack,
Okay,
Jack,
nah, I would agree with him on that one.
Jack, I have mod status. Rethink your last post. Rethink that, buddy.
And I agree. Reading is overrated. And
No.
print is dead.
I enjoy it. Better than watching TV.
I
Reading
hate,
is-
I
I don't
hate
watch
you both. I literally, one of the first things in my bio is I'm a bookworm. Y'all are
Reading-
just trying to pick a fight.
Reading
I-
isn't overrated. The problem is that there are a lot of people that claim that they've read books that aren't even something that they've cracked open.
I like
Yeah.
I like
problem.
listening to the authors reading their books to me. Like
Oh, that
like a
can be very
bedtime
pleasant.
story.
Books
Yeah,
on
it's
tape is
nice.
still, as long as it's not like an abridged version. I don't
No,
mind
but
books
it's-
on
it's-
tape. God knows
it's
I
them.
travel.
Yeah,
I
'cause
like
I
books
don't
on
wanna
tape.
fucking read, but
One of the most insanely relaxing things that I've ever been exposed to is I got to hear the author of The Last Unicorn read a chapter of The Last Unicorn live.
Mm.
And he had the most insanely calming grandfather reading voice.
Hold
Well,
on. Jack's trying to pick a fight in chat. No, I'm not saying it's a comment on intelligence. I'm just saying. I'm just
trying to
saying.
pick a fight. Oh shit!
I mean,
He
I read
literally
fantasy
is.
trash, so it's not about all intelligence, you know.
Just don't say reading is trash.
And Jack, don't get it twisted when I say you're an idiot. That's not a condemnation of your stance on reading. That's just an insult. I separate out my critiques from my insults.
Hey! We're all supposed to be family here, right?
When I
Sometimes.
say that it looks like you would be the sort to Roger a carp over a barrel, that isn't meant to be any sort of negation of an argument that you had. It's just I think that you look like a fish fucker.
I mean, I didn't insult people who didn't
Oh,
read,
shit.
but like you told me, reading is overrated. And then you also say, "Oh, it's like an insult against my intelligence if I don't read." You insulted me first.
It happens.
I like the way that Kokonoe thinks. Just because you're family doesn't mean you can't hurl insults.
Yeah.
No, these are the lightest arguments I've ever had hurled at me or to me.
Yep. Oh, and this
I'm just saying you insulted us by saying it's overrated, and then I say no, it's not. And they're trying to. I didn't insult your intelligence. I'm just saying it's my hobby. That's kind of a mean thing to say, and then you're just like,
everybody has their
"Oh,
own hobbies."
you're attacking me." No, what? Huh?
also to reference the author that I just advised everyone to read, well, Brandon Sanderson. There's a fantastic line from the Stormlight Archive. I can't remember it word for word, but I can paraphrase it. And there's a character in that known as Wit. And Wit makes a great deal of to-do about the difference between being witty and being an asshole. And his distinction was, when you're cruel to someone because they can benefit by your cruelty, that's wit. When you're cruel to someone who cannot take it and it will break them, that's cruelty.
Yeah.
Which is something I rather enjoy. Because I do agree with that. If you're an asshole to someone because being an asshole to them will actually get them to smarten up and improve them, that's all fine and dandy. That's good shit. That's what friends do. That is busting balls.
That's situational. I mean, it just depends on the person. Some people need tough love, and some people are already being screamed at from every side of their life that they're garbage, and they need someone to like raise them up and be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, if you try, like there you go. Like you're not Garbo." It just depends.
And that's what Wit meant when he was talking in that book, because he said it to a character who he had just absolutely fucking verbally flayed several people in rapid fire. And then this one character who's kind of this quiet, shy sort of character comes up, and Wit immediately starts going like, so how's your day been? Doesn't rip into him, doesn't insult him, and the character asked him finally, why do you say the things that you do to everyone else, and why do you not say the same to me? And that was Wit's response, which was perfect.
Well, I always try to be not be mean for the sake of being mean, you know. I always find that kind of shitty. Just be
Like I
mean
said,
for mean's sake.
If you're being mean because it can improve someone, that's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of being mean because it can improve someone, Jack, maybe people have a reason to dislike you.
Jack, I don't care if you don't read. You do you, buddy.
I mean, there's literally, like we were just talking about mediums. How do
Yeah.
you not read?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he reads
You can
anime.
read
but-
anything.
Well, he reads the subtitles in anime. That's about all he reads.
And again, I'm a weeb.
That's bold of you to assume. He probably dubs his shit like a filthy peasant.
Well, see, I have an argument for dubs and subs. Most people think the subs are better because they can't tell if the voice acting is bad because they don't know the language.
Dubs and subs has been that's been an ongoing argument in the
Yeah.
community for forever. That's fair. But, I mean, it just depends. Like, Yu Yu
Yeah.
Hakusho, like, mostly dubs are better. However, there are some adaptations like Yu Yu Hakusho where, like, Justin Cook took over, like, and it was just so great.
And yes, Jack, I realize I was the one who started it. And I've been enjoying it, which is why I started it.
It's my host, and I don't care what you post.
But yeah, it's just the thing that, yeah, there are really bad dubs. Especially old school, there were a lot of really bad dubs.
It was a new forming art, yeah.
Yep.
But it's still funny. I find it
Yeah.
amusing.
Oh, there are some that I cannot watch without it being dubbed because I first started watching it dubbed, and that just became the voices.
Well, I
Even
sometimes
some-
watch both.
There
I
are
watch
just
One
some.
Piece. I watch One Piece dubbed and subbed. So
There are
Not the
some.
one kid, not the one kids, surely.
no,
The 4 kids, you mean?
4 kids. Sorry.
The one
It's-
kid.
it's been
That's
so-
just a
it's-
very lonely child. All the others fucked
Yeah.
off and left him there.
It's been
Yeah.
it's been that long for me, okay? Forgive me.
He used to be the 4 kids, and
And
he
they are
showed the
lonely.
other
They are lonely.
3.
They're bankrupt.
yeah,
They're dead.
Yeah, it used to be the 4 kids. Then he showed the other 3 the dubbed One Piece, and they all left. And now he has no friends, so he just cries himself to sleep at night.
yeah.
But
Look at my life.
yeah, there's certain ones that I will watch dubbed. Like anytime that I go back to watch Rurouni Kenshin, I have to watch the dubbed Rurouni Kenshin
Yeah,
because those are the voices that.
Ignore the fact that the creator is a pedophile. I do.
Oh,
we gotta
shit, he
separate the
is?
art
I
from the
didn't know
artist.
that.
You know.
Rurouni Kenshin, the creator Rurouni Kenshin, got arrested for pedophilia.
I did
Sheesh.
not know that.
Yep.
Still a really good.
Still a good show.
Anime,
I
really
know.
good
I just
manga
have
as
to.
well.
I just have to suspend. Differentiate like creator from content.
Yeah.
It just makes me sad. I'm like,
Hold on. Can I jump in real quick?
Go for it.
"Ee."
Yeah, that feeling. A lot of you are gonna have to deal with that with a lot more people coming forward. So, if it's that bothersome that you can't watch a show or even something that came out a while ago, and then understanding what that person did, it's not going to be easy for you.
Dude, I can suspend
all I
the,
can
the
say.
creator from the creation. Like, I don't like Ron Perlman, for example, but I still like Hellboy.
Yeah,
Like,
You're gonna have to be able to do that. You're gonna have to be able to
He was also good in
separate that.
and I told,
Chronicles.
Yeah, I totally can. I'm just saying it's a pity, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm also moving on with my day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm just waiting to see someone say, yeah, like, I really don't like Hitler, but Mein Kampf, or some shit in the chat.
Well, no,
well, I'm
I read
sure
my
somebody
Kampf. It
will
was a
take
boring
it.
ass book.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody will take it to the extremity like that. But I mean, we're talking like, oh shit, I can't watch Dragon Ball
Hold on just
Kai
a moment.
because
Oh, yeah.
this voice actor, did such and such. It's
Yeah,
like, well, no, like they did it, but I'm still gonna watch it because I'm gonna fucking watch it.
yeah. To me, it is if it's good when I don't know that information, it will still be good, and then I'll just be going, the author's a bit fucked, but damn, this is good.
Yeah.
If it wasn't good to begin with, then I'll be going, well, this is shit, and the author's fucked. That's whew. So I have this gradation, and normally a lot of the stuff from people that did really good work and then they started writing really shit work, it's when they started putting in a lot of their politics or just really fucking weird views from other things in ways that did not work. Like, one of the sci-fi series that I really loved is Old Man's War. Really good sci-fi series. I recommend it. The author
I'll
of
be
it,
right back, guys. Sorry,
Okay.
hold on.
not a problem. The author of it went completely fucking insane and has some god-awful politics. The books are still amazing. Read the books. But that's where I've been for ages in it, since there's just so many people that they have really shitty takes, but they produce such good media.
Yeah.
And I get it's weird because you have to be able to look at it with a sort of dynamic mindset because there's going to be areas where you're looking at a craft and then when you look into the person who did it, like they could be very very devious. And it's like holy shit, but at the same end it's like but we're looking at the work, and should we just immediately dismiss the work because of the devious shit that the person did?
Yeah, I mean, shit. I still love The Naked Gun, even though O.J. Simpson absolutely turned his ex-wife into a Pez dispenser.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's just a weird, I guess, a weird turnabout for that.
Yeah, but like I said, there's certain anime that I will watch dubbed. The majority of them are ones that I grew up watching on Toonami and shit like that, so those voices are the voices in my mind when I think about them, and it sounds wrong hearing any other voice. Some of them, I don't know what it is, but it seems like there's some dubs where the Japanese voice is this very pleasant sounding voice, and then they go to the American dub and it's, hey you guys, what are we doing over here? And you're just going, oh my god, fucking kill that little goblin boy. And then there's other dubs where the American voice is just this very nice, soothing voice of like, yes, so we're going to go over here. We're going to do this. This is the plan. Isn't that brilliant? And then you'll hear the Japanese one, and it is the exact opposite. Rather than going from the pleasant Japanese voice to the goblin boy, it goes from the pleasant American or English or whatever the fuck voice to Watashi wa! No, shut up. I will drown you in a tub.
Yeah, but the voice acting for dubs is getting better though.
No,
Yeah.
no, they're getting better.
But the problem is now you have
Yeah.
a lot of them are just becoming the same voices.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that is definitely better when it comes to Japanese voice artists. Because you end up with two characters with similar enough voices that it ends up being confusing rarely in those. Whereas I can think of a number of different times that I've been watching
Well,
dubbed
hold
things,
on.
and they
In all,
have 10 people.
in all fairness, I mean, it may sound similar for us, but
Well, I'm saying I rarely have that in Japanese. They have enough voice actors that they're able to get different people to do the voices,
Yeah.
and it doesn't sound the same. Whereas the American ones, I've heard it. There are some anime when dubbed that are damn near Skyrim level of I've heard that voice before.
Yeah, they all have the same voice.
Yeah.
Well, Studio Ghibli's partnered with Disney. So
Yep.
that's why they get like pretty good voices. They get Christian Bale and Patrick Stewart and a few others,
Yeah. Those were fantastic. There's,
Yeah.
like I said, some really goddamn amazing dubbed works out there.
Yeah.
There's some that they stick a goblin voice in where there isn't
Yeah.
a goblin voice. So fuck those. There's some that replace a goblin voice that shouldn't have really been a goblin voice from what I can tell with a non-goblin voice. And yes, I prefer those. And then there's ones where I'm going, this is very Skyrim of them. And I'm not keen on those.
A lot of video games use the same voice actors too.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was pointing out, that when it comes to Western studios and
Yeah.
voice acting, you end up with them really trying to scrimp on hiring voice actors.
Yeah.
And it's making me miss the days of old school game studios just constantly, okay, who's in the office today? Bill, you mind coming in here and saying a few lines? Well, I've never voice acted before. You'll do fine. Stop. Thief. There. Goodbye. And
Yeah.
because as bad as the voice acting was in some old games, it had its own charm because it is clearly just they pulled Bill from accounting over to read a couple lines, and he's just sitting there going, I have no clue what the fuck I'm doing. Okay, let me just read these words.
Well, voice acting's harder than it looks,
Yeah, you need to be able to put the right tone, the right inflection, all that good shit on it. But like I said, when you have different voices, that helps massively. And it's just so many Western studios try to get by on. So we'll hire 6 voice actors. Okay, how many voiced parts do you have? 207. Wait, you said that you hired 6 voice actors. Yes. Everyone's going to sound the same.
Hold on. That just emphasizes that it's not just the work of the voice actor. It's also the director.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that it was just the voice actors that were at fault. I was saying that there's so few in a lot of productions that it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And then the one that was about the quality of the voice actor was the goblin voice one, where if you're just including a goblin voice, what the fuck?
Wait, what's the goblin voice?
What are we talking about? Goblin mode? What
Who's
happened?
goblin?
The goblin voice is the voice that I did a few moments ago of the hey, so this is the plan. We're gonna go in here and we're gonna do this and okay, let's go. And you're just going, why are you speaking? Why did you make a main character sound like this?
Why does it sound like Mickey Mouse has a gargly voice?
Exactly. You have certain things. This happened a lot in older school dubs and it still happens sometimes in newer dubs, but it happened a lot in older school dubs, where someone who was a main character would have the most obnoxious fucking
Yeah,
voice
Marge.
in existence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Marge Simpson, the hellish goblin child, whatever the fuck you want to call it, where you're just going, no, stop, shut up. It would be one thing if it was like a background character that maybe had 3 lines in an entire fucking show. But when it's someone that you talk to every 3rd episode for the bulk of an episode, fuck you, I hope you die in a fire.
Tell us how you really feel.
Those voices drive me crazy. But
So you don't want to come hang out and play the Simpsons arcade game, do you?
are you just going to make me listen to Marge the entire time? Is that the plan?
Yeah, well,
I mean, I have the emulator for it, you know.
yeah.
But I just looked down at the time and I noticed that we have been going for a bit over 2 hours now. Shall we go around the horn for parting words?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Useless, you want to go first? That way
Sure.
you can tap out if you want.
You're not going to say, have fun. Because what's the point of living if you ain't having fun, you know?
Copy that. Let's go Adam next.
Well, I always appreciate you letting me join you for hanging out on Friday. What I want to say for both the audience and the panel, I love you and God bless. Have a good night.
And goddammit, I look down in chat and I just see Kokonoe's help me! And I will! I'm a Marge main!
I mean, that franchise has endured for quite a few generations, actually. God, how long has that show been going on?
Yep.
Almost 30 seasons, you know?
So let's go to Gabby, your parting words.
Sorry for the late joining of the stream. It's always a pleasure to hang
No
out
worries at all.
with you guys. And what can I say except party on, people.
And I'll leave off with my standard of if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. Also, if you like to read, go ahead and tease Jack a bit more. He deserves it. And with that,
Oh, he's
have a
never
good
going to
night.
live it down.
Have fun,
Have a good
guys.
night, all. The zoo is closed.
Do-do-do.
Adam, Gabby, this is when you say goodbye.
Bye.
I say
Adam?
what?
You say
Adam.
goodbye.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Adam,
You say goodbye.
say
Later,
goodbye.
Peter.
There we go. Bye, all.